The White Sox have a new closer, Seranthony Dominguez. Let's meet him. Well, let's talk about him here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. Welcome into the CHGO White Sox podcast, coming to you live from Studio West of our West Loop offices here in downtown Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, my producer, Sarah.
Go Sox.
Go Sox. It's cold. It's freezing in here. Hopefully talking about the red-hot Chicago White Sox will warm us up. We have one main topic today, and it's Seranthony Dominguez. This weekend, Jeff Passan broke the news that Seranthony Dominguez signs with the White Sox for 2 years, $20 million. Dominguez has played with the Phillies. Dominguez has played with Baltimore. And Dominguez last played on the Toronto Blue Jays. He pitched 11 1/3 innings for that postseason run that they made and ultimately fell up short of winning the World Series against the Dodgers. He did pitch in Game 7 in the 10th inning. 1 inning pitched, 1 hit allowed, 2 strikeouts. Not the reason I feel they lost the game. I think that final homer was probably a little bit more important than the out that he gave up, or he didn't give up a run. Yeah, he did. No, he didn't. Anyways, Dominguez signing for 2 years, $20 million. Immediately, people go to the Luis Robert Jr. trade, and that's the money that they just got for giving him to the Mets, and the Mets taking on that contract. You're seeing immediately $20 million. I don't think it's going to necessarily add up that way. Again, it's a $10 million a year deal. He's making $10 million this year, $10 million next year. It's definitely a part of it. Like, the White Sox freed up $10 or $20 million this year. They could possibly be done, and that's what we'll talk about on this show. But I think it was a goodwill signing for the most part for Chris Getz. This wasn't about, I think, getting a closer that maybe Chris Getz has long desired. I don't know if this was about a need that Chris Getz thought they needed to fill. I think it's more they've been waiting a very, very long time to trade Luis Robert Jr. and to just keep it going, I think, was part of this. Dominguez, though, is a full, clear-cut closer. Sarah, do you have the graphic from at TJ Stats? Again, 11 1/3 innings pitched, an absurd amount, at least for postseason standards. Since 2015, that's the 28th most. And really, nobody has touched the Andrew Miller 19 1/3 innings since 2026. And then you look really since 2021, the most is 15 2/3. Seranthony Dominguez was used 11 1/3 innings. So used, as pretty much as most or as much as you can use a reliever in the postseason. Dominguez, though, 31 years old. Last year, a 3.16 ERA in 62 2/3 innings. You can add on the 11 1/3 innings, so pitched around, 74 innings, I think, even there, with 6 out. The K percentage, 30.3%. The walk percentage, 13.8%. The K minus walk percentage, 16.5%, which is fairly similar to Pete Fairbanks. So when you see that $10 million deal, it is a little bit surprising because I do think Dominguez is probably better than Fairbanks, and he makes less money. So I found that a little bit surprising. I don't know if people are concerned about the usage of Dominguez pitching around 70 innings this year, but when I look at him, and Sarah, sorry, I wanted to go to him. You can look at the at TJ Stats graphic here. The thing that sticks out about Dominguez is pretty much he's a 3-pitch pitcher. He does use the sinker a fair amount, but when you look at the pitch usage on the right side to the right of pitch breaks, you could see against left-handers, he's using mainly that four-seam fastball at 51%, and then he's mainly using the splitter behind that at 30.9%. He flashes a curve at 10.6% of the time, but he's mainly four-seam fastball and splitter against lefties, and then against righties, he throws that four-seam fastball about 30% of the time. He mixes in his sweeper at 36% of the time, and he also throws a sinker to throw, off those right-handers the sweeper and the sinker naturally like deviate away from each other. So they're two pitches that can tunnel off well against each other. So it's a little bit more usage than that curveball, but he is mainly against righties, four seam and sweeper. And the thing that sticks out is those main first three pitches: 108 TJ Stuff plus on the four seam, 111 on the sweeper, 106 on the splitter. And he gets a ton of whiffs, 26.8% on the four seam, 47.2% on the sweeper, 49.5% on the splitter. That is a pitch that typically does get a ton of whiffs, but again, he's near 50% on that. And then when people make contact, the fastball, it's not terrible at 370, the expected weighted on base average, but the sweeper great at 240 and the splitter at 299, pretty decent. So he has a way of getting lefties and righties out. He should be able to go out whenever the White Sox have a lead and close out games. The White Sox were awful in one-run games last year. I think we talked about blown saves already. And we found out that the 2024 White Sox team had like 20 or 40 something blown saves, which is, utterly ridiculous. It wasn't as bad last year, but still pretty horrendous for the team altogether. Seranthony Dominguez will help them avoid that. I don't know if he's technically going to be like their main guy against the highest of leverage. I do still think that's going to be Grant Taylor, but when there is a run or a lead of 3 or less in the 9th inning, or, Seranthony Dominguez throws 3 innings to close out a game, whenever it is a save opportunity, I do think that you will see Seranthony Dominguez. I don't think you're going to see him used to the extent that the Blue Jays used him. They were using him because, again, they were trying to win a World Series. That really doesn't apply for the White Sox in 2026. But with Seranthony Dominguez, again, he gives them that certainty in the 9th inning that if you do give him the lead, he should be able to get lefties or righties out, whether they're the best in the lineup or 7, 8, 9. I think that this is a decent signing. Maybe it's not exactly what I would do with the $20 million. Ryan brings up Bader signed elsewhere. As someone suggested him for the Sox, I brought him up for the Sox as well. I think that he would be a pretty decent signing. He signs for 2 years. The money is undisclosed from what I see. Josh Nelson said that the money is similar. So he brought up you can pretty much figure out this year if you'd rather spend $10 million on an aging outfielder or $10 million on a high-end bullpen piece. But for fans that saw 37 blown saves in 2024 from this bullpen, and then in 2025 seeing, I had the number right here, seeing 24 blown saves, Seranthony Dominguez should be able to avoid that. Again, nothing's ever perfect with relievers, but the thing about him is he's got to throw 101 by everybody. And he really can't hit the zone. Like, he has 3 really solid pitches, 3 pitches that he throws enough for strikes. And at the end of the day, again, I'm very surprised that he signed for this low of a total. He just turned 31 in November as well, so it's not like he's about to be 32. He has never posted above a one WAR season. He did in 2018, but he was pitched in 58 games there with the Phillies, 2.1 WAR, and then in 2022, 1.4 WAR in 54 games, 51 innings. But even looking at last year, like a 3.16 ERA, looking at blown saves, I don't know exactly how many opportunities he blew. Thought I would say that. Okay. Losses, losses are at 1. So, I mean, I don't think he's blown a ton of opportunities. He also wasn't saving a ton. He had 2 saves last year, but I do think this is a high leverage arm for the White Sox. They don't really have this type of guy that I think can and has been in this situation before, 40 career saves, but I don't know if he's going to be a guy that is going to be afraid of that position. This is a guy that I think can bolster up his value with the White Sox, especially in those high leverage situations. Being 31, being there, done that. This isn't an arm that I hate giving, these save opportunities. He's pitched 300 innings in his career. I think that this is a fine closer where Grant Taylor, let's say you're going up against the Yankees, you got Bellinger, Judge, and then Ben Rice coming up. Seranthony Dominguez to close you out. likely would happen. But, if that's coming up in the 8th inning, I do think you'll likely see Grant Taylor and not like Seranthony Dominguez. I think the highest of leverage possible, I think you'll see Grant Taylor for those true close situations. I do think they're saying Seranthony Dominguez because, closers do get paid more. This is a guy that I think deserves an opportunity. Got it to start with Philadelphia and really hasn't been around that. But, outside of 2024, he's been above 100 ERA plus in every single year. I don't understand really why he's not that valuable. It's mainly because he's only pitching about 50 innings. But truly, I think if he's able to convert those saves, I think this is going to be a decent signing for the Chicago White Sox. And again, I'm not super concerned about the 11 and 1/3 innings pitched in the postseason. It does pitch him around 70 innings total, which is the most in his career. But he's pretty much gradually worked up ever since his rookie year. 58 innings pitched. Did have an injury in 2019 and then didn't allow him to play in 2020. He returned in 2021, but only through an inning. And then at 50 innings in 2022, 2023, worked up to 58 and then worked up to 62. That's not including the 11 and a half. So, going from 58 to 70, it's not that much of a jump. And especially it's still over a longer period of time with October. So I think this is an arm that should be primed to, if he has a decent year and contenders do come calling, this could be a piece that they trade by the deadline. This is also a piece that they can keep for 2027 and then just still trade him at the deadline in 2027. I don't know if this is for sure a goner at the deadline. If they have an offer that's, irrefutable. The Dodgers need bullpen help. The Mets need bullpen help. They're not afraid to pay for it. So I wouldn't be afraid or surprised if they move down from this year. But I do think that it would have to be kind of perfect circumstances. We'll see if those align, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's here in 2027 because, again, there's no real need to move away from him, and he'll still have value in 2027 as long as he's doing a decent job saving games, which I don't have a ton of concern for. Even in 2024, 11 saves in 27 games finished. He had 4 losses, so I don't know if he's necessarily not fit for the role. I can go to career high leverage situations and look at his stats there, but I think that this is a guy that, for the most part, is going to be able to handle these situations. High leverage, 215 batting average against, 310 on base percentage, 334 slugging percentage. Medium leverage, 222 batting average, 306 on base percentage, 365 slugging percentage. Low leverage, 286 or 192 batting average, 286 on base percentage. Slugging percentage is 332. All these numbers are in between 600 to 670. This guy should be able to fit into a closer role pretty seamlessly. And again, it's because of that pitch mix. It's because of his ability to throw strictly four seam and splitter to lefties, and then to righties he has a pretty brilliant sweeper. So I don't know if it's the right move. We'll talk about that after the break here. But I do think it's a decent move. Whether he sucks or not, I don't think this is super short-sighted from Chris Getz. People wanted a bullpen arm, and with Fairbanks signing for $12 million, this does seem like a logical move. Maybe he isn't a proven clear-cut closer, but I don't hate the idea of this guy closing out and saving games to the White Sox in 2026. I don't think it changes their win projection, but we'll talk about that on the other end and after we hear from our sponsors here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We want to let you know about our friends over at Bet365. With Bet365's early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes up 17 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winner. With one football game left, make sure you're taking advantage of that early payout offer. Download the app and use code CHGO365 when you sign up. And tomorrow will be NBA Tip-Off Tuesday. See for yourself why it's never ordinary at Bet365 with the Tip-Off Tuesday offer. Place a qualifying same-game parlay bet with the Safety Net bet feature on a Tuesday NBA game and get $10 in bonus bets if the bet loses. Terms and conditions do apply. Download the app and use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. You bet $5, win or lose, you get $200 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus. If you or someone who has a gambling problem, crisis counseling, and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Four Seasons. For all the right reasons, call 866-4-SEASONS. Winter is here. Is your home heating up for the challenge? You think it might be over, but this week we have tens and maybe even more negatives coming up. And if you have a furnace, go out. If you have a generator, go out. It is time to call Four Seasons. Now is the time to schedule your Four Seasons furnace tune-up. If you're thinking about a whole home generator, they have you covered. At Four Seasons, they guarantee same-day installation for all your heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, and generator needs with no extra charges for nights, weekends, or holidays. Furnaces start at $39 a month, and furnace AC combos start at $57 a month. Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric has been serving Chicagoland for over 50 years. Four Seasons, your trusted local experts for heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox podcast, talking about the Seranthony Dominguez signing from this weekend. Sox signed him to a 2-year, $20 million deal. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Ryan in the chat saying he'll be a good stopgap for Taylor. Plus, could be a solid trade chip if he does well. The White Sox technically did go over projected market value for Seranthony Dominguez when you're looking at the Fangraphs free agent tracker. They projected Seranthony Dominguez to get 2 years, $16 million. Sox gave him $2 million more technically in each year to sign him. It was similar though to Fairbanks. Pete Fairbanks was projected 2 years, $16 million, which would be $8 million AAV. He signs a deal for 1 year, $13 million. So the Sox really didn't like overpay. I mean, even a guy that, again, I feel is very similar in Fairbanks. Fairbanks walks less but strikes out less. Dominguez on a percentage basis strikes out more and walks more, but in the wash, their actual percentage minus each other are around the same, 16.5. They seem fairly similar. Fairbanks isn't like maybe a dominant closer like Seranthony Dominguez was. I don't know exactly Fairbanks' save number off the top of my head. 25, 23, and 27. So a little bit more of a resume than Seranthony Dominguez. Dominguez, I think what we said, 20 total saves in his career. But I still think that number's arbitrary. When you look at his actual abilities, when you look at his abilities to prevent runs, he's just along there with Fairbanks. So I think if you put him in those opportunities, he does get an opportunity with this White Sox team. I think Seranthony Dominguez is going to do decent. I think they got a fine deal. Nothing I think that is too crazy. Even look at Rafael Iglesias. They projected him to get a 1 year, $12 million deal. He got 16 mil, so 4 mil over that projection as well. Emilio Pagan was projected 1 year, $7.5 million. He gets 20 from the Reds as well. Kyle Finnegan, 1 year, $7 million. He gets 219. So that's $9.5 million. So overpaying for relief pitching has been the norm for Major League Baseball. I do think Dominguez, looking on this list, like, I'm fine with it. There's not the concerns with Fairbanks, where Fairbanks likely wouldn't be able to pitch in spring, wouldn't be able to pitch in the cold. He has a nerve system or nerve disease that causes his hand to cramp up in the cold. Dominguez doesn't have that concern or issue, so this seems like a decent amount to spend $20 million on. I really hate spending when you do have a limited budget, like the White Sox typically do, on bullpen. I do think it's a little bit overrated, the concerns that fans did have with one-run games and getting a closer. I don't mind it because, again, I think that they paid like for the player and for the price. I think it was a pretty good deal. Like they did overpay in a technical sense, but I think like they did underpay when you're comparing him versus Fairbanks. Like they're paying him less than Fairbanks, $3 million per annual basis. They do have 1 more year tacked onto it, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. He's younger than Fairbanks as well. Fairbanks is 32, where Seranthony Dominguez is only 31. I think that this is a really solid signing. I would have liked to see them spend on an outfielder and starting pitcher before going out and getting a closer. But the more you look at kind of the amount of depth that they have, I'm not super surprised. They had a true issue of winning late games. Again, 20-plus blown saves over the past 3 seasons. If you have a guy like Dominguez who can go out and get you wins, it's never a bad thing. I just look at this current 26-man roster. They've spent $83.5 million by my estimates. I still feel like there's something missing. And not to the point where, I'm on board with Bradley Doolittle, where I think this is a team that could break out. Even then, ESPN's Bradley Doolittle, I think a breakout season for them was still 71 wins. Like, the goal is to avoid 100 losses. Barely getting over that, I don't think, is a breakout. Like, a breakout for the White Sox is like 75 to 76, possibly pushing on that 500 threshold. The White Sox, get to 65 wins, they'll be 2 over 100 losses or something like that. Like, a breakout isn't 71 games. I feel like I'd be very happy with that number, but I think it's going to be tough to get to a breakout number if that's 71. I still think that this team's like projected to be like 68 to 70. But Shane Smith, I have him as the ace, quote unquote. Davis Martin, Sean Burke, Anthony Kay, and Sean Newcomb currently filling out the bullpen. Drew Thorpe should be a part of the bullpen at some point. He's coming off Tommy John, though, so I don't think there's going to be a rush to have him join the bullpen join the rotation once he joins the rotation, which I would assume would be May or June. You'll likely see Newcomb go back to the bullpen, but that's not for opening day, so we're projecting Newcomb to be in the opening day rotation. Then looking at the bullpen, Seranthony Dominguez, Tyler Gilbert, Brandon Eisert, Mike Vassell, Jordan Leisure, and Grant Taylor. I also have the 2 Rule 5 picks in Alexander Alberto and Jetson Paez there. There are plenty of names that you could possibly put in there if they don't like Alberto or Paez after the 6 weeks they get with them in spring training. And then you look at the current lineup, and this can obviously be mixed and matched throughout the day. Edgar Caro at catcher, Munetaka Murakami at first base, Chase Mydroth at second base, shortstop, Colson Montgomery, third base, Miguel Vargas, left field, Andrew Benintendi, center field, Derek Hill, right field, Everson Pereira, designated hitter, Kyle Teal, utility or bench, Lenyn Sosa, Brooks Baldwin, Luis Angel Acuna, and then Corey Lee. I know Corey Lee is an iffy one to make the roster. I think it's important, at least right now, with Lee having no options and him not being traded, him being on the opening day roster, so that way you can at least play Teal and Caro in the same lineup, so you don't have to worry that if one of them gets injured, you won't have a catcher. So I don't hate the idea of Lee being on the opening day roster. At some point, they will have to trade Corey Lee. But that current 26-man roster, again, sits at $83.5 million. The projection for a, offseason budget was around $85 million. So they're like $1.5 million off of the projection. So that really doesn't sound like they're adding much if they're not going to go past $85 million. With the $20 million they got saved with Robert, they should push $93 million. I mean, they were pushing $93 million with Robert. So are they going to get to that $93.5 million number? If not, I think this might be a poor signing to go after Seranthony Dominguez. Our guy, how are we saying this? Is it Algeny? I just want to make sure. Yeah, I just want to make sure. Mr. Lopez says, I disagree. You need a strong bullpen in today's game. The reason we lost so many games in the past 2 years is mostly because of the bullpen. I mean, I just disagree. Like, they also lost because of bad fielding. They also lost because they couldn't score runs. They did poorly in one-run games. They also got their ass kicked in a ton of games because they couldn't score, or the starting pitching was terrible. The entire team needs to take a step forward. They need to do a better job of developing arms as well. Grant Taylor should be better than what he was last year. Jordan Leisure was really showing off in the second half, and I think he's going to be better than what he was for the majority of last year. Vassell was solid for 100 innings, and then again, Dominguez is fine, so they have 4 pretty solid names. So I just don't know, like, if they're not going past that $85 million number and they only have $1.5 million to spend, I think the Dominguez signing could be short-sighted. If they're still signing another pitcher, they're still signing another outfielder, if they're going to make camp just more competitive and they're not afraid to use that $10 million that they saved, then I don't hate the Dominguez signing. Because when you look at the reliever market, when you look at a comparison of Fairbanks, they're paying Dominguez less than Fairbanks, $3 million less per year, and he's younger. And I do think that there are concerns with Fairbanks with that nerve disease he deals with. And then with Dominguez, like, there's not any platoon concerns. I'm not afraid that he's just going to get rocked by lefties. I'm not afraid that he's going to get rocked by righties, right? Like, he might have some bad outings, but for the most part, like, this is a guy that is 20% better than the typical major league pitcher. He should be, on a night in, night out basis, be able to go out and close games, even though he doesn't have a long track record of doing it. I just don't know if they're going to go towards $93 million. I hope they do, but if it's only $85 million, or even if it's only like $87 million, they only have $4 million to add, I would have rather see that $14 million go to a starter and an outfielder. Maybe, I don't know the current market, but I have some concerns. Like, it's not the worst move that they could have made. It's better than giving Fairbanks $13 million, but I don't know. Algenai. Hopefully we're saying that right. EV also asking, Mr. Anderson, will you be at Sox Fest this year? Mr. Anderson, I will be there on the 30th. Me and Pat Norton will be at Sox Fest on the 30th. I have, I think, press credentials, but I don't know. We'll see. There should be content from Sox Fest. Hopefully. But yeah, I'm excited. Never gone to Sox Fest before. I really don't like fan conventions. I don't like large groups. Baseball parks are a little bit different because they're just so expansive. Shout out to Ramova Theater. I've heard it's beautiful, but I think my claustrophobia will be clicking in just a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm going to brave it for you folks. Let's go be Sox fans on the 30th. I think that's season ticket holder only, though. So I'm not sure if Evie, you'll be there, or I think Melissa has gone in the past. Shout out to Melissa. I don't know if she's going on the 30th, right? So I'm not sure if everyone's going to be there on the 30th, but I should be there on the 30th. So just hit me up on Twitter if you're a diehard. Hit me up in the Discord, and we should be able to meet up and take a photo and, high five about Munetaka Murakami. But yeah, the current Mr. White Sox, let's go. You don't have to change your name. I want to change so I can pronounce your name right. So I'm sorry about that, Mr. Lopez, but thank you for just going with Mr. White Sox. But yeah, no, that's my bad. I just want to pronounce your name correctly. And Evie says, I'll be there Saturday with the normies. I get why they do the season ticket holder day only, because these people are paying for the entire season. So you do want to give them a little bit more of, a reason to sign up. But I think also part of it is just because, like, the Ramova is fairly small compared to where they used to do it, like McCormick Place. Like, I mean, that's like 15 football fields on top of each other or whatever. The Ramova Theater is a old 1920s like theater. It's fairly big, but it's not as big as McCormick. So yeah, it's gonna be year 2 of this version of Sox Fest, and I'm interested to see what they learned and what will change. Because I think they're trying to make it the best version possible. I think they went away from it for so long because they didn't like the product they were putting out. I think that they like the idea of the Ramova. I think they like the idea of it being smaller. We'll see if it leads to better fan experience, though. I'm not sure. We're going to take a break. I do see KJ Russ jumping in the chat. If you do have any thoughts about the White Sox, I also see Joe asking about Conforto, Grichuk, etc. We will be talking about that on the other side of the break. Let us know. We'll be going into some of the remaining free agents. We'll talk about some of the camp battles that do remain, and we will be back with more here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We want to let you know about our friends over at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. New vehicles are in store at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, and this is your chance to get a great deal at the Ray Resolution Sales Event. Head over to Ray CDJR on Route 12 to choose from their huge inventory of new Chrysler Dodge Jeep and, you guessed it, Ram vehicles. And right now, get 0% financing for 72 months plus no payments until spring on new Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram models. Plus, shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000 with a friendly team of brand experts. The team over at Ray CDJR is here to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. Plus, they prioritize affordability. That's why you can rely on the Ray's price promise. The price you see It's the price you pay. The price you see online is the price you pay. The price you see in the lot is the price you pay. Upfront, clear affordability, so you know what to expect when you head out. Go check out our partner today to shop one of Chicago area's largest inventories and find the right vehicle for you. Don't miss out on the Race Resolution sales event for huge savings on new models. For more information, visit Ray CDJR on Route 12 today in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. I want to let you know about our friends over at Huel. I forgot my lunch today, so I was able to Huel up with our friends over at Huel. It's a ready-to-drink protein meal. And if you are looking for that post-workout boost, if you are really into working out in 2026 and you're trying to hit consistent protein goals, this is the absolute drink for you. You get 35 grams of protein, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no official sweeteners, colors, or flavors. It's gluten-free. It's under $5 per meal, and it's a complete meal that you can literally grab and go. I drank it truly within, 5 minutes, and I feel satisfied. I feel ready to talk about the Chicago White Sox and maybe Harrison Bader signing with the Giants. So if you do want to check out our friends over at Huel, get Huel today with our exclusive offer of 15% online with our code WhiteSox15. That's new customers only. And thank you, Huel, for partnering and supporting our show. If you're busy, this is a game changer. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox podcast. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. We got 33 people watching, 11 likes. If you haven't hit that thumbs up button, please do. Make sure you subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We'll go into some of the position battles. We'll go into some of the remaining free agents for starters and outfield. If we do have $10 million to spend on, who will we spend it on 1-year deals? And then I will see if I can talk Terry Boers before the show wraps up. Let's go to Joe, though. Joe Zanelli in the chat saying, are Conforto, Grichuk, or Winker worth looking at? I like all three of those names that you mentioned. I think Conforto honestly might be the worst of them. Conforto, I do like the bat speed. I do like the damage that he is able to apply. I think that he was fairly unlucky last year with the Dodgers, and I do think that his power output can return to normal levels. However, he doesn't play an outfield position, and I think that that's a real thing that the White Sox need. You have Andrew Benintendi, who is already clogging up the DH position. You do not need another DH or gloveless outfielder. Winker was it was a small. I think Winker's not good, I guess is what I should say. He was decent in 2024 in left field, at least for defensive run saves. Out above average, he was -7. So I don't know if Jesse Winker can actually play a position or not. He typically grades out poorly in left and right, but not as bad as Conforto, not as bad as Benintendi. So I don't hate Winker. He is a lefty, which is always a positive. Grichuk is a guy that I feel like could be bounce back material as well. He is older, which is concerning. But he, again, kind of has that same issue that Benintendi and Conforto has. He's not really a fielder. Last year in 2025, 97 innings in left field, 0 defensive run save, 0 outs above average. He did play center field for 2 innings last year, 0 outs above average, 0 defensive run saves. And then right field, he played 232 innings, -2 defensive run saves, -3 outs above average. Right is more difficult than left, so maybe he could play left field. I don't hate Grichuk. When you look at the current outfielders, you have lefty Benintendi, righty Derek Hill, righty Everson Pereira, and then on the bench, Brooks is a switch hitter, Acuna is a righty. I don't know if you need another righty in Grichuk. Grichuk is another right-handed hitter, so I'm not sure if he really fits in. Brian Ramos, who could possibly play left field, and that would be stretching it, is a righty. Tristan Peters, who's also in the mix, a lefty. They signed Lamont Wade Jr. to a minor league camp invite. He's a lefty, so maybe he fits in. I like Kelnick, and I think Kelnick's going to make it in as their lefty. I don't know if they're going to have another righty. So I would say maybe Winker would be the out of the three I would pick. If you're asking Conforto, Grichuk, Winker, I would say Winker, Grichuk, Conforto in that order. Because I think Winker and Grichuk will be less expensive than Conforto, so I think it's just more realistic. And honestly, I think they're probably just smarter signings. I think it's more likely that Grichuk could adapt to left field. I think it's more possible that Winker could play like an okay to average left field, where Conforto, I know that glove should be burned. Maybe he could provide some pop, but I don't know. I don't think you need another DH. So Hopefully we answered that one, Joe. KJ Russ saying this move reeks signing on a team-friendly deal just to trade or forcing the young players up early to try to compete. Either way, it doesn't make sense as it stands right now without doing more. It doesn't make sense without doing more. Again, that's why I think people are overreacting to the whole closer thing. Like, you didn't sign a closer. You signed a guy that can be a closer, and I don't hate them putting in that situation. But you didn't go sign Edwin Diaz. You didn't go get, like, Josh Hader. You're not signing Mariano Rivera, who's, like, has been doing that, been there, done that. The most he's saved in a season's been 16, and that was his rookie year. So, is he built for this? I don't know. I like his mix. I think he's a pretty decent guy. I think it's a good signing for both sides because he probably wants to get closer money. For 2 years, he thinks he's going to get that chance to go close. And the White Sox did sign, I think, a fairly fair market deal. I don't hate it. I just hate it if what you said in the last part, KJ, is right. Like, it doesn't make sense if this is the only move. If this is the only move and they're sticking at 83.5, then that's the issue. Let's look at some of the outfielders that I didn't bring up, or at least that Joe didn't ask about. I think Mr. White Sox, our guy Mr. Lopez, brought up Tauchman. I don't hate the idea of Tauchman. Foolish Bailey did a fantastic video here on YouTube talking about Mike Tauchman being underappreciated. And one thing that Mike Tauchman does is get on base. There were 11 players that have gotten on base at a 350 rate since, I think, 2021. And out of the 11 players, like 10 of them are all-stars. One of them's Mike Tauchman. He's a player that was consistently great for them, a player that led off with great consistency for the White Sox last year. The other thing, too, I think he has, I don't know specifically. I just remember seeing pictures and not connecting the story. So there's probably a lot more that I could inform you on. I think that there are some probably great articles from The Athletic that talk about Tauchman's specific situation. But I think he was the Roberto Clemente Man of the Year award. But I also think that part of the reason he wanted to sign here was because he's obviously originally from Palatine. But I do believe that either his wife was going through some health issues or one of his children were going through health issues. So I think that Tauchman makes sense because I think that he likely wants to stay close to home if it's not with a contender. And I do think that the White Sox were like, yeah, go test your market and we always have a place for you. So if it's a Tauchman reunion, like I really could see a Tauchman reunion. I don't know if I want to advocate one because he's 35, going to be 36. We saw the consistent issues that he had playing defense and running the bases. So I don't know if his legs will be able to hold up. If it is Tauchman and they sign some other starter, like maybe a Chris Paddock, I think that this offseason could make somewhat of sense. Southside Jeff saying, are the Sox limited to free agents willing to accept one-year deals? Could have been a deal breaker with Bader since he got 2 years, $20 million. Well, I mean, they signed Jeff. They did just sign Seranthony Dominguez to a 2-year, $20 million deal. So I think what we've learned from the large part of this offseason is it's going to be a higher, like, upfront salary for less years. So even Tucker getting $6,240 or whatever he got, it was mainly a 1-year deal where he's getting $65 million. I think the lockout is absolutely scaring players, and there isn't that long-term security being given out outside of Alonso and Schwarber. I think that this is more of the market and the current position. Like, I don't think that they're pressed that free agents are signing short-term deals, because I think that they'll likely be more active in 2027, 2028, likely more 2028. And I think that's when we'll probably see the longer deals handed out. I think it's not really a Sox thing with the 1-year deal. I think it's mostly a baseball thing in total. But let's look at the outfielders. Some people brought up Austin Hayes. He's a righty, plays left and right, projected to get $7 million. So could be a possible fit. Again, if he is signing a 1-year deal, 1.2 FWAR for Austin Hayes. But again, another issue of, I don't know if he has a defensive position. Left field, -2 defensive run save, 1 out above average. So maybe he could hold down left field decently. Did play center field last in 2023, played right field last in 2024, and that was only 4 1/3 innings. So he is only a left fielder. He's not that good at it. So I don't know if I like really want him. And that's a big issue, even with, Miguel Andujar, Starling Marte, Max Kepler, who was on the juice. None of these guys are really decent defenders. The last person that I know I'm going to talk the chat into is Tommy Pham. But, like, you don't want to see Tommy Pham on the White Sox again? 38-year-old Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham, I feel, is a guy that I don't ever want to doubt. He was pretty bad, I guess, last year when you look at his offensive totals and defensive totals at -7.2 and -6.3. But still 0.2 F4. 94 weighted runs created plus, and I do think Tommy was a lot better after he got his vision fixed, and I think that's something that I'm interested in. I mean, he swings a fast bat, was worth in left field the defensive runs saved of 5. The out above average was -2, so I don't know if he was that good in it. But even right field, he played 25 innings, like played center field in 2024 for the White Sox. I don't know. I'm just saying, there's not a lot of good choices on the outfield market. I don't hate Tommy Pham. Uncle Ted says, just don't play fantasy football with Tommy Pham. I think it's going to sharpen up the boys. Colson Montgomery will get to learn what it is to be a big leaguer once he joins the fantasy football league with Tommy Pham. As long as Colson Montgomery pays his dues, he's not going to get slapped by Tommy Pham. As long as Colson Montgomery's an adult about it, Tommy Pham doesn't have to slap him. I don't know if we should have him. Tommy Pham is Tommy Pham. He says he's a big dog. He's a big roller in Las Vegas.
I was gonna say I kind of miss him.
I miss him too.
I like that spirit. I think you guys could use some of that.
Yeah. Ryan says, Sean, give up the Tommy Pham idea, please. It's a really bad market. Austin Slater, do you want to see a reunion with him? He's 33, righty. That was pretty decent, like platoon wise for the White Sox. Not that good of a fielder. I don't remember him being like atrocious and like terrible to watch, but he was fine left field. 1 defensive run save, 1 out above average. I don't know. MJ Melendez is a free agent as well. He's not really good, but he does have a former connection with our guy Gene Watson. He was a former catcher converted to an outfielder, and he has a pretty decent arm. He's mainly a left fielder and right fielder. Played only 28 innings last year in right field, but left field, 106 innings, 2 defensive runs saved, 1 out above average. The bat is pretty inconsistent, but he's like a pretty good athlete. -14 weighted runs created plus last year. That's not good, but it is only 65 plate appearances. Career 88 weighted runs created plus hitter. If there are some possible tweaks, had near a 12% walk rate when he was a rookie. Maybe there is some MJ Melendez love out there, but yeah, it's a pretty horrendous core. Fairly cheap one though. Like, I mean, even the best player there, Austin Hayes, is going to make like $7 to $9 million. So I don't think that they'll go broke if they do go and sign one of the outfielders remaining, leading to be like, how much do you actually have to spend on a starter? The projection for Chris Bassett is around $18 million. I don't think you're going to see a Chris Bassett, and that's one of like the lower end guys that I would entertain. People have brought up Giolito, but there's no way they're paying 2 years, $36 million for Giolito. I think that they're likely more in like a Savale. Griffin Canning was brought up before. Martin Perez reunion, or again, Chris Paddock, $7.5 million range. If they go out and again spend the brunt of their money on that 7.5 on Chris Paddock, I wouldn't hate that. And then you go out and get a couple of heap waiver wire guys that are, fringe quad A guys, your Joshua Palacioses, that maybe not even be listed on the free agent tracker, and give them a shot. Like, I don't know if there is a outfielder worth paying after Bader has gone off the market and gone to San Francisco. I think they should likely, if they do have $10 million, focus on another starter, so that way you don't have to worry. And if it's Canning, I don't know if he's necessarily going to be there right away coming off an injury, but as we showed, or as we talked about, their rotation right now is fine. It's fine for at least a month. Newcomb, Kay, Martin, Burke, and Smith. Like, that could get you through a month. It's more, June, July, August, September. I'm worried about maybe you sign Canning for that spot. Southside Jeff said Gio won't come back after Ketz got let go. They also know, I mean, he's not that good. Like, do you want to watch Lucas Giolito throw like 91-mile-per-hour fastballs again? I don't. His slider's not that good. The changeup's like the only thing worth a damn. If it's not in the zone, if it's not enticing people to swing, then it's not a good pitch. I don't want to watch Lucas Giolito pitch again, respectfully, in a White Sox uniform. I would want to watch Tommy Pham. So that's the hill I guess I'm going to die on, is the Tommy Pham hill. Final thing, we got to wrap up because we are on fast, right? Does that matter?
That's a good question.
Why don't we wrap up? Final thing, I just want to say, rest in peace, Terry Boers. There is a ton of content being done by 670 The Score on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, even tomorrow, noon to 2. Matt Spiegel will be hosting a celebration of life for Terry Boers. Terry Boers was a massive influence for me getting into sports media. He is one of the kindest people I've ever met. He is one of the easiest people to ever laugh on air as well. Getting Terry Boers to laugh on air was very, very easy, and I mean that in a genuinely sincere way. Terry always livened up a broadcast. He was a complete natural at it, never wanted to be a broadcaster, was just always talking about sports, and that naturally fit into 670 The Score. And 670 The Score and Chicago media would not be the same without what 670 The Score and Terry did. So thank you to Terry Boers for everything that he did in Chicago media. I've spent the past weekend listening to Boers and Bernstein clips for a while, and it's sad, but I do hope that person's at rest because they've gone through a ton health-wise in their life, and they accomplished, again, a lifetime's worth throughout their career. So go listen to the celebration of Terry Boers. Steve Rosenblum also did a wonderful job on Saturday where Terry's grandson called in. So thank you to Terry. Hit that thumbs up button. We'll be back tomorrow. Should have BZ on during this week, and then Dylan at Not Cease will join us on Wednesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Good. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.